Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I cut and sew this top, this stylish top. Like I can use the front like this. This is like the main front and this is the back styled as the front. So you can see what it's giving, right? So that's what we are going to be working on today. Hi guys, my name is Fatima A. Yusuf and I share sewing tutorials on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe and let's just get straight to it. This is the fabric I'll be using. It's a crepe fabric. You can get vintage fabric, you can get plain fabric. Mine is not up to 1 yard, it's 31.5, but the length is 60, which was okay for me. So you can get 1 yard. I feel like if you have 1 yard, you don't need to add the additional black fabric to it. So I fold using the width twice. That's what I'm doing here. Right, after folding, I'll measure the width I want. To know how to fold, amount to fold, or hip circumference plus 5 or 6 inches will be okay. So I measured the width after folding and it's okay for me because my hip divided by 4 is 11. So I'll be marking a borderline. Then the down part, so I also mark a straight line because as you can see the down parts are not equal, right? So I'll mark a borderline and a straight line down. So that will be the length of my gown. I've done that here and we'll just get straight to measuring. So now the width I have at the upper part, that's the sleeve length. That's 14 inches or 14.5. Don't like short sleeve, so that's why I added black material to that. Then so neckline, I went 3.5 inches by 3 inches round neckline for front and back. You can use any type of neckline you want, but me, I'm using round neckline in this dimension, right? So I've already marked out my measurements. I'll just use my free hand to form my round neckline. You can use your French cuff if you have it, please. Then now for my shoulder or my button, I will go down to 10 inches. That's my bust line in this case. Now go down to 16, my waistline. I already talked about this vertical and horizontal line in a video I posted. I'll drop the link in the description box for you. Then I went to 24 inches, my hip line. Then the top length is 29, right? So I'll just go ahead and use my ruler to extend all those lines. So for measurement, you'll be needing your bust, your waist, your hip, your top length, and then your sleeve length. So those are the basic measurements you'll be needing to make this top. Now under my bust line, right, I'm going to mark my bust divided by 4. Mine is 9.5, yours might not be 9.5, so please measure your bust circumference, divide it by 4. Then you mark anything you get around that part. Then I added 2.5 inches to my allowance, so I'll use 0.5 inch to sew, and then I have extra 2 inches, you understand? Then now to the waistline, same thing. Your waist divided by 4. Mine is 7.5, yours might not be 7.5, right? Then I added 2.5 inches allowance. Now to the hip line, I'm going to impute my hip divided by 4 is 11 inches. Now I'll be adding 3 inches allowance instead of that 2.5. I basically used everything. Okay, I used 3 inches, but I had 3.5. I can use that 3.5 if I want, but I just went for the 3 inches, right? So I'll join the 3 points together, and then that my hip line, right, the point that is at that my hip line, it will just go straight down to the end of the top like this. For my sleeve opening, I will be maintaining that my bust line, that 10 inches, that will still be for my sleeve opening. I'll go ahead and cut. You can mark your shoulder slope if you want. I actually forgot, but you can mark shoulder slope if you want. I'll go ahead and cut out my piece, right? After cutting out my piece, we are not done. We are like halfway, midway. Sorry, my down parts were not equal when I cut it out, but please make sure your down part of your top is straight, right? So now what I'm going to do is I did a lot of measurements. I was like, because the style just came to me, so I wasn't really sure of the particular measurement I want to use, so I had to try out different measurements. I'm not going to be explaining all my process or my trials and error. I'll just explain the main measurement I use. So around this part, I was like trying to just be sure of which measurement to use. That's why I'm speeding this part up, because if I'm to explain that I did this, then I went back, I reduced it, I did that, it's going to be confusing, right? So this is just me trying out to see if the measurement I want is this or that. So this process is just like trial and error. And now let's just go with the real measurement. So at this my top part, I went up to 5 inches, right? Then I marked it from your top, the top length, I went up to 5 inches. Then I marked it. Then I will make sure that it meets the other end with a slant line like this, right? So please, all those lines that are up of it, like I told you guys, error, trial and error, so those ones are not included because I know someone will still ask me. So from my top length, the end of my top, at the hip side, I went at the open part, the open side, I went up by 5 inches, and I used a slant line to meet the other end of the top like this, right? Then inward of that line, I marked 5 inches. Then upward of that 5 inches, I was doubting of which one to go with, but at the end I went with 3.5. Initially I went with 4, but at the end of everything I used 3.5 inches. So please, mark 5 inches upward, make a slant line to meet the other end. Inward of that slant line I marked 5 inches, right? Upward of that 5 inches I marked 3.5 inches, right? Are we good? I think we are good. Now that 3.5 inches, right, I'm going to make a slant line to meet the other the close side. Yeah, I'm going to the slant line to meet it from that my 3.5 inches, right? So that's what I did here. Are we good? I pray we are good, because I think it's understandable. So I've done that here. Then now that my 3.5 inches too, right, I'm going to make sure it meets another end, right, at the open part. So it's going to come. So now we've taken it to the other side, the close part. Now we are going to take it again, a slant line from that 3.5 inches to meet that 5 inches that I went up with. You understand? So that's what I did. If you don't understand it, please go back a little bit. You're going to understand it. 3.5 inches, a slant line went to the closed part side. 3.5 inches, a slant line went to the open side. You understand? So basically that's what I did. Like I said, I did trial and error. So like that 3.5, you can make yours to be 4, can make yours to be 4.5, can make yours to be 5. Depends on how will I put it, how open you want that part to be. I think that should be the English. So you can use 4.5, you can use 5, but I use 3.5 inches in my own case, right? So I've done drafting that part. I'll just go ahead and cut out this part. So this down part, I'm going to cut it off. I'm done cutting off, right? When you open it up, you see that it looks different from the top, right? You can actually leave it like this if you want. That's another style, but I don't want, I want only one part to have the, how will I call it, I don't know, but I want one side to have the design I want, then not both sides. But in case you want both sides, it's okay. So I'll be cutting off one part of the should we call it the triangle, I don't know. I'm cutting out one part of this angle formed here, so I'm just going to take a slant line to meet that side. That's what I'm going to do. I will use my chalk to just take a slant line to meet this other side with my ruler, like this. So you can leave yours like this if you want it like that. It's also another style, but like I said, I didn't want it like that, so I'll be cutting off this part. So you can leave it like this. You see the way it's looking? You can leave it like that if you want, but I don't want that, so I'll just be cutting off one part of it like this. Both for both back and front, in case you want it to have, maybe you want the back or front to look like this and you want another one, you can just cut, you can lift one up and then cut one part, but I'll be cutting off for both sides, right? So I've done that. Stitching it up is not hard. First thing is to just join your shoulders together, bias the neckline, or you can bias the neckline separately if you want, but I join the shoulder first and I bias the neckline. Then the down part of the top, I'm going to hem it separately. You can use bias if you want, but I hemmed mine. But if you have enough bias you want to, you can do that. But I hemmed it. I folded in 0.25 and I stitched. So I'm done here. I've joined the shoulders, bias my neckline. I hemmed the down part separately, as you can see, right? So now I'm going to choose where I want to be back and front. I chose where I have my markings there to be my back piece, because it will be helpful instead of remeasuring and redrawing any line. So I'm using this part that has markings, right? On this waistline, I'm going to be stitching elastic tape to it. I have this, my elastic tape, 0.5 inch elastic tape. I'm going to mark out, I'll measure out my waist circumference, divide by 2. It's 15 inches. So I'm going to cut that out on the elastic tape. That's what I did initially. Then afterwards, I reduced 2 inches from elastic tape, but you can stick to that, your waist measurement divide by 2. Right? So like I said, I cut out 15, then afterward I reduced 2 inches from it. So now I'm just going to place it at that line, that my waistline, and I'm going to stitch on it. So I'll be dragging the elastic tape while I'm stitching, because that elastic tape will be small for the waistline, so you'll be dragging your elastic tape while you're stitching it to it. You understand? So that's what I did. I reduced 2 inches and I'll just go to my sewing machine, place it at one edge and drag it to the other end and stitch on that elastic tape. I have done that here. You can actually do this for both back and front if you want, but if you're doing for back and front, please don't minus that 2 inches. Just use your hip circumference divided by 2. You can leave it like this, but I decided to do something else again. You know me. So at the front piece, at this angle, I decided to measure up to measure from my waistline down to the angle, right? For my waistline. So it gave me 7.5 thereabouts. I'll measure on my elastic tape. I measured 4 inches on my elastic tape. I'm going to draw a straight line from that my waistline downward to the angle there, and I'm going to stitch this elastic tape to it the same way I did for that waistline. So that's what I did around that part. This part is optional, but I think it actually gives the top a little bit of a nice vibe, you understand? So now I have this my doll face, my leftover doll face. I'm just going to use everything I have here. I did to the sleeve length because that sleeve is short for me. 14.5 is going to be short, and I don't like short sleeves. But in case you like short sleeves, you might not need to add this fabric, you understand? So now I'll just put it into 2 since I've already splitted it. So I have this 5.5 inches, that's the length. So when I stitch it to the fabric, I'll be having 5 inches. So now I'll just have 14 plus 5. So the sleeve length I'll be having will now be 19 inches, you understand? Because I'll use 0.5 inch to sew on each of the fabric. So at the end I had 19 inches, which was okay. After doing that, I'll join my bodies together. Just fold it right face facing right face, measure the sleeve length you want, then just stitch in this direction. I used to have inches to sew from the sleeve to the end of the gown, as you can see. Then I'll just go ahead and notch the armpit area so that it can be neat and perfect. And guys, that's how I stitch, that's how I cut down so the stylish top you're seeing. So I paired up with this my orange skirt. The tutorial for the skirt is in my channel here. I'll drop the link for you guys. You can see the effect that the elastic actually gives, right? And I also tried to pair it up with a palazzo pant, and it wasn't bad either. You can see what the back is giving us front. If this video has been helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, drop a comment and like this video. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.